Any questions on that? So we're going to talk about developing your WordPress sites on your local machine. So we're going to talk about what that means first. But this is being presented by me, Patrick Rauland. That's me on Twitter. As you know, I work for Brennan Richards, so we do a lot of custom theme stuff. I have in the last year switched. I develop every site locally now. It's just faster for me to do so. So this is something that I heard about years ago. You dabble with it, it doesn't quite work right. You dabble again, kind of works, and then I finally got a good working model now. So I'll try to share that with you. Oh, there we go. Brennan Richards advertising. Oh, I also do crazy fun yoga stuff.
In Costa Rica?
In Costa Rica. So if you ever want to talk about yoga stuff, I can totally talk about yoga stuff afterwards. But that's not important.
Warrior pose.
Yes, I can. I'm not kidding you. I haven't been able to not lift someone. Are you looking? We can do it right now. Elliot can watch. On the table, no. Maybe afterwards.
We can move the tables around.
So what is it? I just took a little graphic. Normally when you are accessing a web page, your browser will ask a server, an external server, hey, I want this web page. The server will access the database. It'll talk to various programs, whatever you have here. In WordPress specifically, it'll pull pages together, it'll pull menus together, all that stuff. It does all that, and then it returns it to your computer. So with local development, all of this happens, except there's none of this lag time. So your computer will ask your computer to figure out what the page is, what resources you need, send you all the images and assets in CSS. We'll get into it, but basically it's cutting out this whole time here where you're calling the other server and you're asking them for this information and they have to send it back to you.
So your own computer is doing that.
Your computer is your server. It does everything the web server does. Yeah. So some of the benefits. The testing environment is something big, I think, for anything, WordPress included, but for any programming. So you can very easily change the PHP settings. Some of my clients at PR, they already have hosting accounts with some garbage host. Morning. And I can't change those. So if I want to know if a plugin's not working because of a setting on the server, you can easily test that. You can easily give yourself full permission on your own server where you can't necessarily do that on the web server. You can turn on errors that wouldn't otherwise show, blah, 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 blah. You can also, it's easier to read your own error logs. This is good. It's more of an application stuff, but it's good to know. The next thing is speed. So I have two little icons here. The first is the loading icon, right? Anytime you hit a web page, it sits there for a whole half a second. And when you're editing CSS, or you're moving things over pixels, up and down, doing this, there's a lot of reloads. Over a course of a day, you're saving yourself minutes in speed time. This is the FTP. That's the icon for transmit. It's just the FTP program I use. And you can use any FTP program you need. But obviously, when you're developing locally, you no longer have to upload files. You don't open a CSS file, edit it, save it, open your FTP program, upload it, wait for it to upload, open your browser, and reload it. You just open up the code editor, save it, go to your browser, and reload. So you're cutting out a little step there. A in FTP time, and also just switching around between programs. It's excellent. Control of server, I think I meant like being able to lock yourself. You have full permission. I guess I already talked about that. But you have full permission to do whatever you want. There are some complexities with this. Once you get the technology up and running, there's a couple things you have to remember to do, like change your permalinks. Because when you're developing locally, the URLs are going to look like this localhost 888 or whatever. And you just need to remember, to open up your database file and manually change these. Use a find out good place, or use something like Backup Buddy where you will import it in. But that's the biggest complexity I've seen of local development. Is just remembering to change your permalinks at the end. Maybe the other thing would be I work in a team environment, so sometimes when the boss wants to see the design, I have to take a screenshot, or it's not actually up on a test server that they can see. It's only on my machine. If that's something big for you, then you might want to have a local setup, a testing setup, and a web setup, and have them somehow linked together. Okay, so we're going to talk about some of the tools. The most obvious one is your operating system. I say duh, because that's already taken care of when you buy the machine. The reason you need to know that, though, is because your operating system determines which of the main programs you'll need to use to run this. So I'm going to talk about 3 things you need. Don't be confused. All 3 of them are handled by one program, but they are 3 different pieces. I just want you to know that, because they're the 3 different pieces all handled by the one program. Okay, so you need operating systems. You need a server. The server is the thing that says you hit the /about.html page, I need to get this file. That's what the server does. So with WordPress, it's normally Apache. That is the default server. You can use other servers, but the default is Apache. That's all you need to know. That's what the server does. The database is the thing that stores all of your page information with WordPress, right? All of your menus, all of the site of your title, the comments, all the site of your title, the title of your site. With WordPress, the default database is MySQL, free and open source, just like Apache. There are other databases you don't really need to know. They'll all be taken care of. A programming language, in this case, WordPress, I think everyone knows is built on PHP. I don't actually think you can use something else, because WordPress is built on PHP, I think it's stuff. So, the good news, all 3 of those, server, database, and programming language, are handled by various programs. I have MAMP, WAMP, XAMPP, and I'm sure there's other stuff for Linux. I'm not too familiar with Linux. If you want to look into that, I will let you do that. I'm sure you can. This is for Macs, and these 2 are for Windows. MAMP, if you notice that they all sound, I think Elliot just left us. Oh, Jessica just joined us. MAMP stands for Mac, Apache, MySQL, and PHP, the tools we just talked about. WAMP is Windows, Apache, PHP, and MySQL. I mean, it's all the same stuff. XAMPP is still Windows, and then MySQL, PHP, Apache, MySQL, PHP. So they all kind of do the same stuff, but they handle everything. Okay. And, okay, so that's kind of it in a nutshell. That you just have to have this program up and running. Then it'll open a window for you. You can do whatever you want to do. You select the folder you want to be your web root, right? So I would select burnhamrichards.com as my folder, and then it knows that's like the website you're accessing. So rather than trying to explain all that, I would rather just show you how does that sound. Is everyone okay with that? Excellent. Excellent. I have, hi, Jessa.
Hello.
So I'm going to share a different screen with you guys so that you can see what's going on. Oh, you can see everything. Perfect. So I'm going to show off MAMP. So I'm going to open.
MAMP you can download, no charge, right?
These are all free. MAMP does have a pro version available that gives you extra features. I've never used it. I'm sure it's got cool stuff, but the basic free version is good enough. So I'm just going to start by opening MAMP, which is this little gray one. The blue one is the pro version. So there's the little MAMP. We'll open that up. Cool. So there, it just turned on Apache. It's opening a page for me, and in a second, it's going to turn on MySQL. There it is. So MAMP just turned on my server and my database. Excellent. This doesn't help us very much, does it? Let's get rid of MAMP. Actually, let me create a new site, and I'll show you guys how to do that. So, Finder. Perfect. So I think I put everything in Documents. Where did I put it? Web, Projects. Perfect. So let's create a new one. I'm going to create a new website. I'm going to call it Appleton WP local development. Okay, so I have a new site. Now I'm going to go to MAMP and tell MAMP to open that site. So I'm going to go to Preferences. And right here is where you say, this is the site I want you to open for me. This is the site that I want you to show me. So I'm going to go to Select.
So you can develop more than one site locally at a time?
Yeah, not at the exact same time. So I can't have, so if I'm developing 2 sites simultaneously that have to work together, that would require more complex setup than I know how to do. I'm sure you can do it. But for what I know, you can develop one site locally. You just have to go into MAMP and choose which one you want. So I'm going to go.
You're telling MAMP where to.
I'm telling you.
Find
Hey,
the
Patrick.
site on
Yeah.
your computer.
Yes, Elliot? Sorry, do you say something, Elliot? No? Okay. So I'm just changing the preferences in MAMP. It should open up a new thing.
Hey, and maybe you covered this, but yeah, I did. You can hear me?
Yep.
No, you can't
Yes,
hear me?
yes, we can.
It's crazy.
Okay. Elliot, what did I forget to cover?
Okay. I think there's a delay.
There probably is a delay, yep. I see your receipt.
Forgot to cover that.
No, nothing. Yeah, there's a big delay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a big delay.
Okay. Yeah. So what I was going to ask you is, you said this, but back to the start. Why would you want to have your WordPress install local rather than having it in a testing server?
The biggest
Because
thing.
if you're working with clients, don't you need to have feedback from your clients and whatnot?
Yes. So my setup, and that's an excellent question. My setup is I develop everything locally, and then I'll put it up on a test server when I'm done. That for me works out really well because then I can do whatever I have to do it quickly, and then show them the test server when I'm done. If they send me a lot more work, I'll develop locally again, or if they just have tweaks, I'll just do it on the test server. But for me, the main reason is speed. Is speed. Excellent question. Is there a follow-up to that, or? No. Okay. So with MAMP, we just changed the preferences. It has to reopen Apache and MySQL. It does that. They open the start page where you can create a new database. So I know I'm going to install WordPress. I'm just going to create a database right now. So you go into PHPMyAdmin, which you are probably familiar with if you've ever set up a server on your own web server. I'm going to create a new database. I'm going to call it Appleton, no, just AWP local development. AWP underscore local. Create. Very cool. I have an empty database waiting for WordPress. It's begging for WordPress to be installed. So I'm going to go back and install WordPress quickly. Appleton WP development. I need to open Sublime Text. Nope. So I'm going to open my code editor. And the reason I'm opening my code editor is because my code editor is cool and it can download WordPress for me. So Sublime Text.
So you go on the WordPress site and downloading WordPress, or you already downloaded it and just use that as a template?
That's an excellent question. Forgive me for a second. I use the terminal just because it's a little bit easier to open up this code thing. So cd documents project. You would obviously not do this. cd document, there we go. Web projects, Apple. Perfect. Okay. Sorry. I'll try to stay out of the code editor. We'll have to have a code editing or terminal thing later, but not right now. So I just have an empty site here. My code editor will actually go out and grab the latest version of WordPress. So it has a thing called fetch that does this for me. You can download WordPress any way you want. This is just the way I do it. So I say package, no, fetch. Fetch package. I've already told it where these 3 things are. I'm going to download WordPress right here. And if you see in the bottom left, oh, okay, you can't see the bottom left of my screen. It just says that it's downloading the file right now. And in just a second, you'll see that temp package zip turn into WordPress.
But as long as we get the WordPress files
Yes.
into the Appleton
Yes.
WordPress folder,
You're good to go. Yes. Yes.
That's it.
I probably should have just downloaded WordPress ahead of time and put it in there, but oh, there we go. So it just downloaded the file and unzipped it for me. That's all that this does. So let's take a look.
Put that right in the Appleton.
And I dropped it right in that folder. Oops, wrong window. So if we come back here and we open up let's see what we see. Hey, there doesn't seem to be a config file. I need that before we can get started. I think I can handle that. So I'm going to go back to here. Has everyone installed WordPress? Has everyone seen that that message before? So that basically means that the server has found WordPress. It knows it's there, but it doesn't know how to talk to the database yet. So it's not an error so much as you forgot to do something. So I'm in my config file. My DB name was AP local? AWP? Perfect. Your default username and password are probably root.
it says on
Does it? Well, thank you. I forgot that. Root. If you want, you would probably go and, okay, I'm going to do this just because I think it's good practice, even though we don't need to do it for the example. It's a good practice to do this. You go here, you get your special salt. This helps to make sure your site doesn't get hacked. We didn't really need to do that, but it's a good practice. Okay. And if you're following other security practices, you'd also probably change your table prefix to, I just like to do this. There we go. And now your database is 1,000 times more secure. Okay. So we've set our config file. I forgot to rename it from config sample to config. Can you see the bottom of that? Yes, you can. So you just have to put the config file in the right spot, save, it's there. If you notice, I didn't have to upload anything. Reloading, so all it's doing, oh, there we go. We have a brand new version of WordPress. Local development. Let's try to spend local right. Username is admin for fine, and password is also going to be admin because this is just a test. I would not do that on your site. Emailing is actually, that's something I just forgot. Emailing can be one of the sticking points with local development, whereas web servers are made to email things out. Your local machine is not. So you won't necessarily get emails unless you have something special set up. So normally when you install WordPress, it'll send you an email saying, hey, you've created a new user. You won't see those unless you do some special stuff. If you need to do that, I like to set it up and then put it on a testing server. Or you can use other fancy tools like SendGrid, but that's a whole different topic. Email is just going to be, and I'm going to turn that off. Install WordPress. Da-da-da. Cool. There's the WordPress dashboard. And if we go to the site, local development, there we go. So let's say we want to edit something, just because that's the whole point of doing this. It's not to install WordPress, it's to actually speed up your development time. Let's say I want to change something in the theme 2012. What would we change in 2012? Who hates something in 2012? No one? Okay. Let's open the copyright year. That's perfect. No. Where is that? Proudly powered by WordPress. Let's change that to something else. How about that? I don't see a copyright year. Powered by Patrick's brain. All right, we'll do that. Footer. I believe that's in the footer. Proudly powered by that. I don't know where the S is coming from, but that's okay. Proudly powered by Patrick's Does anyone know the ASCII code for apostrophe S in a string? No? You'll have to forgive me, I'm not going to put the apostrophe in there. It's like an ampersand APOS or something like that.
The brain has it.
Okay. Proudly powered by Patrick's brain. I am now going to put that on every website, even the VR site. Okay. So that's the whole thing. And may I quickly say that I am running a lot right now. I am recording my entire screen. There's a webcam that's sharing my screen with 2 other people in a chat. I have a server up and running, and I'm still doing all this super quickly. So normally you wouldn't be recording your screen and you wouldn't be in a screen sharing on the chat. This is a solid state drive. But this is enormously faster than local development. So that's the basics of it, and I did it in a half an hour. Do you guys have any other questions? Go!
I'm done. I have uploaded the server. You just take the SQL database and upload it, and then files from your directory, and it plays nice.
So the only thing that I have to do is you can literally copy all of this, everything, just copy that whole thing to your web server. That all works. You do have to change your SQL file. The one complexity that I mentioned earlier is changing your permalinks. So in the database, it says the about page is located at localhost:88/about. It saves it in the database. So you need to open your SQL file and either do a find and replace localhost with mydomain.com, which is easy. So like in Sublime Text, it's something like Apple Alt Shift F or no, Apple Shift F. So I can do a find and replace, and then you can replace all instances of localhost with this. Or there's other tools like Backup Buddy, where you say import a site, and it'll import the entire site and automatically change the links for you.
You do that before you upload it to
You could, yes. So I mean, normally what I do, since uploading files takes a while, is I start uploading files, and then I'll download the database, find and replace, and upload it again. Oh, no, you probably can do it through, or what you can do, I'll show you what you can do. So, let's go back to MAMP here. You can, and actually we'll just refresh our database. You'll see right now it has nothing. We'll refresh the page, it should have everything. Go back to PHP MyAdmin. Where did it go? AWP local, there's now 11 tables. There we go. So what you can do under posts is probably where you're going to find it. So search SQL. So you could write a SQL statement saying, I don't write SQL statements very often, but it's something like select this field, replace any instance of this with this. And you have to put like wildcards on there, but I don't remember the syntax offhand. So what I do is I download my tables and I open the SQL file with Sublime Text.
Yeah.
That's what because that to me it's easy. The text find and replace is easier than the SQL find and replace. But that's the only thing you have to do when you make a task site.
So when you start adding plugins and everything else, they will just go up and every plugin and everything, and they will just control.
Well, it depends. I mean, it depends what the plugin does. I mean, like Backup Buddy will have a ton of tables because it does a lot. I mean, if a plugin just replaces words or something, it's not even. Hey, Jason. If a plugins don't necessarily add to the database other than a check mark to say that they're on. But when you're installing plugins and all that stuff, it'll all be installed into your local root development, and then you can just upload them there. They're there on the test server. So you could add themes, plugins, whatever you need, and that'll all be in your test server when you upload it. Sorry, did I see another hand? Go for it.
If you got a live site, you got your development site,
Yep.
your local site, and you test out the thing, say, update a plugin or whatever, you have to do the same thing on your live site in order to pump that thing, you can just sync that.
So did you say update a plugin or something? Like
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So if you if you have a live site, you let's say copy it, pull it down, and do extra development to it, you will have to mirror those changes. So if a plugin is just updating its files, if you just upload a new plugin, it'll be updated on the web server, on the production server. But be cautious. It may update a database file when it's updated. So for that type of stuff, I mean, if you don't really want to dig in, I would just update it in both places. Like if you're writing your own plugin, that's different. If you're just downloading the newest version of WordPress SEO, I would just download it on your production and on your test and make changes accordingly.
Back up first.
And always back up first, yes. Always back up first.
So do you back up constantly when you're doing your local host? Because if your hard drive fails or anything like that, all of your information is gone and it's screwed.
It absolutely is, which is why you do have to do backups. I actually don't back up any of my local databases. I guess I figured that stuff can be fixed easily enough. But I mean, just as an example, I'm working on an August Haven website, and I only just started, but I at least save all the code right here.
Because
So
the instructors that I actually do the local only, upload it onto those servers so that if something will come with your local host, you have that backup.
yeah, whether your backup would be on the production server or on your local machine, or I save mine in the cloud on GitHub. It doesn't matter where, as long as you have a backup and as long as you trust it.
I'm better
Because that would be about.
And this, when you're getting into it, God, this is a whole different topic. But I mean, look into backing it up this way, because I can look at every single change I did. So adding the favicon, that's going to be one change. I changed one file, I added one file to it. Or I forgot to do something to the footer menus. You can see every change I make to this. I deleted this garbage and replaced it with the pretty WordPress nav. This is a totally different topic, but I just use GitHub for version control, so it tracks every change that I make. So that way, I used this just the other week when someone said something like their site broke after the last time I updated it, and I looked, and the thing that they said that broke had nothing to do with the code I changed. It had nothing to do. Like I looked and no, this code only affects this page, and then they broke a short code in the back end, so they accidentally edited a short code and that broke the site. It wasn't me though. But this version control helps you figure out, oh God, did I change the site on Friday and break it? Right. Although to be fair, this doesn't store my database. So if I did, let's say I'm almost done with this August Haven website and my local hard drive dies, I would have to re-enter all the about page content, reset up WordPress, re-add the users. You have to do all that. But at least all of these files will be there. So like the templates that I built. You certainly can. I've never had a hard drive die, and if I lost everything on August Haven, it would be I have all the template files. I just have to re-add the about page. It's only a couple hours. I think. For you just need to do a cost. How much is it worth to you to back up? If I spend 15 minutes at the end of the week or a half hour at the end of the week backing up all my sites to a local development server for my computer to crash every 2 years, that's 52 hours as opposed to fixing August Haven, which is 4. But it depends now. If you have lots of stuff saved in the database, you might save yourself more time.
So then your professors have recommended that you work off the live server, but you test environment.
We work off the local host, but they want us to upload it onto the live server all the time, so that does happen, then we can go back to the live server.
And that's pretty close to what you're doing here too. You still have test server.
Yeah, this is very long, the local host stuff,
If you use
So-
a time machine, that's backing you up.
I don't.
Every hour.
I don't, to be fair. Sorry, I don't. I'm one of those.
Oh, why?
I don't have anything on here.
Okay.
I have nothing on my computer. All my music's in the cloud. All my movies are in the cloud.
Such a hog.
such a hog.
It
So it's
is,
basically
like-
a terminal.
Yeah, every time you're
Abs-
running, I'm like, why is everything so laggy? And then
Everything for me is in the cloud, so I mean, if I lost my computer, I don't think there'd be anything I don't think I would have permanently lost anything. Even let me rephrase that. If my apartment burned down and it burned down my time machine capsule, I'd be like, well, that sucked. I would actually be really upset, but I'd be really upset. I'm not gonna lie, but at least I wouldn't have lost anything on the computer.
Did you look at Google Takeout?
Google Takeout?
That mentioned last week that you typed it.
No, I didn't. How did I forget this? What is this?
Just, I don't know, just look up Google Takeout. It'll back up all your cloud stuff you have on Google, except Gmail. They don't have Gmail on there yet. But it's free, you just, it's in a super duper zip file, it really compresses it. Just pop it on a flash drive, throw it in your.
That's very cool. Yeah, if you're ever paranoid, that's awesome. I shouldn't say paranoid.
No, but
if you're concerned, yes.
It'll back up like your Google Drive,
That's very cool.
your Picasso album, anything you do on G+. Yeah, it's great. It works for you.
It gives you peace of mind, huh? When you store everything with Google.
And everything's on the cloud.
Yeah, that's, we're the cloud world.
Those of us who embrace the cloud so much.
Well, there's been a couple instances where Amazon clients getting lost.
Oh, have they? And I know Google's lost emails. There was something a year or two ago where a couple hundred people lost emails because the server went down and wasn't backed up properly, whatever. But, to be honest, I just don't. It's not even worth my time. Like if you want to back it up, that's cool. But for me, if I lost,
Is there anything you can't live without?
I don't think so. Right, but I mean, like if your business is based on it, like my business does their own backup stuff. If I lost my computer, they give me a new computer and we have it backed up elsewhere. Whereas you store your own business stuff. So.
Earlier you had that window that had Apache SQL, red light, green light.
Yeah.
And I was using my Vamp about a week ago and my SQL wasn't working. I couldn't troubleshoot, I couldn't get it working.
Perfect. Thank you for bringing that up. So John just said that he had a problem, and I've had this a couple times, where Apache or MySQL doesn't start, and you'll just see a little red light next to it. And that's there's a couple reasons, but I literally just posted, this is my programming blog, I literally just posted this on Wednesday. So Apache server not starting, you type this into the terminal. Everything works. MySQL not starting, it's probably because of this. Type this into the terminal. Everything works. So if you have problems, I'll try to tweet out this blog post link. But it's basically what happens when, like, if you put your computer to sleep instead of shut it down properly, MySQL doesn't stop. And then it can't start again. So, silly things like that. Silly things like that. But, it took me, 10, 15 minutes to Google it. Or longer.
Completely killed it.
Kill it. Go back to it, it's like, it's not green anymore. What's going on here?
Yeah. Okay.
You need the green light of love.
And I did have, after I fixed this, there can be caching issues after you fix that problem. So right after I fixed this problem, I had this problem. So you should be fine. But just caching. Just open a new incognito window to make sure your cache is working or clear. Any other questions about local stuff or anything else?
Do you have manual order type?
Technically, yes. It's not like you open an FTP client though. So I mean, with Git, there's other ways of doing it. The basic way is through a terminal window, something like this. You're on Windows, right?
No.
Oh, you're on Mac. Oh, Linux.
Android.
Okay. So I mean, you're going to use something like this. I actually don't. I'm sure there's a client. I use the text-based version, so I will say something like, where am I? So hold on a second. Documents, web, projects, and what's something I'm working on? So I'm in a folder that I usually work on here, and I'll say something like git status. And it tells me all the files that I've been working on, changes not staged for commit, untracked files. I'll say something like git add all the files. There's a special, dash A. Git push, if I say git push, it uploads all of them to GitHub.
And then it'll appear in highlight changes.
Yeah, so it does all of that for you. You just say, so you say git status, and it'll tell you what's happening. You just say git add the file. It already knows which specific lines have been changed. You don't touch that. You just say add file X, Y, and Z, and commit it, and then it'll tell you what the differences are.
And you can tell them to
Yeah, so if you have multiple people, you'll see Jason totally screwed up the site by forgetting a semicolon after this function, and then you can track changes. So maybe you'll go in there, delete the colon, save the changes. You can see that stuff.
There's a blame.
I hate that they call it blame though. It's called a blame view, so you can see who committed which lines of a file. I hate that they call it that because then it's like you did it. I know it was you.
You turned out the lights in the Super Bowl.
Did you talk about, I don't know if anybody brought this up, working locally on a WordPress site with like a different domain name than your live site?
What do you mean by different domain? So
I mean, maybe nobody brought this up, and maybe, so I'm working on speakinginvites.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
My local computer. Right? Does anybody when they work locally, do they work on the domain name? Do they work with localhost / how do you guys?
So I think who actually? Sorry, I should have asked this right away. Who you've done a little bit?
A little bit.
Has anyone done else a little bit, or just you've done a little bit?
I built a couple sites locally.
So I actually just use localhost, but you certainly go ahead and finish it.
Well, the same thing with localhost. I mean, if you have a domain attached to it, and you work with localhost,
I'd like to know though.
Yeah.
So what'll happen is you'll be updating your site, right? And you'll be working locally. So if you have speakinginbits.com working locally, and then you upload bytes, and you upload it, and then you're like, oh, I need to look at the live site. So let me just edit my local host file, and okay, it looks good. Oh, now I gotta go back to development. Like editing that host file is really fast, right?
So can you explain what the host file is to the people that don't know what it is?
So the host file is your local, a local DNS file that every time your computer looks at the internet, it looks at that file first. So anything you have in there will affect where you say it is. So if you wanted to really mess with a friend's computer, you can make Google.com, point locally, and then they go to Google.com and they're like, Google down, or Google doesn't work for me anymore.
Or you could point it somewhere else too.
Or you can point it somewhere else, yeah. So you control the DNS, you control it.
That's a good way to build a Facebook.
Yeah. Well, at Facebook, give them an email. Oh, you can't. Oh, okay. Anyway, so a trick to do that is instead of going to the database, if you change the database in your WordPress site to whatever domain name. So speaking invites, if I change that to this domain name, now I'm working locally, but it's referencing the live site. So uploaded files are being appended, and it kind of screws things up. So what you can do is you can put into a config file in WordPress, WP. So these two, and you can just Google those later and figure it out. So that you can override. So what I have is a check to see if I'm working on my local system, which then if I am, whatever I have these set to, it uses those. So then whenever I upload it to the live server, I never have to worry about the database having the domain name, the temporary domain name. The domain name is always speakinginvites.com. I'm working locally on some fake domain, and there's no issue when it goes live with the database or the file.
So let's see if I just got that. So you're still working locally. You're still using localhost, correct, or no?
No, I'm using.
You are using
fake domain name. So I'd be like jason.speakinginbites.com, which would be my local copy.
Mm-hmm. And then when you upload a file or when you create a new page, and WordPress will normally save that, the permalink, right?
Correct.
It'll use those extra.
No, it'll use it won't. It'll use this locally, like just for testing, but it won't put it in the database. I see what you're saying. It keeps everything relative. What I'm saying is that yeah, you don't have to mess with the database because then that database setting, eventually might make its way up to the live site, and that would be bad. So basically, it just overwrites the database for these two settings. So I can download the database, upload it, and that URL that is what I actually want it to be on the internet stays the same. It's never affected. Correct. Right. And then I don't have to worry about those.
Very cool.
Right. Because you can easily take down if you change those files, these two settings pretty much control, what domain is it under. So they're important. So I actually learned this. I was talking to John Brown in the jungle, and I'm like, so that totally opened my eyes. A couple years ago, I was like, okay, seriously, so that's very good. So it's a good one.
Very cool. Very cool. Other questions? Local development? Or we can just eat stuff and drink coffee.
Awesome.
Sorry, do you have one? No? That was just a side. Okay, well, I think we're good then. I'm probably going to go. I don't have anything to do for the next couple hours. I'm probably going to go back to Luna and De Pere and do some coding if anyone wants to join me. Granted, De Pere, far away from Appleton, closer to Door County, I believe. Speaking of which, is anyone interested? I would love to maybe organize a day a month totally different than this, where we just get together and work together somehow, but I don't know, because you probably do have a desktop, some of us probably have desktops, some of us have laptops. Would people be interested in that? Because then it'd be kind of like, because I think there's a lot of value in co-working. It could be in Appleton or anywhere.
I don't care where you have it, I'll be there. As long as it's not snowing.
I will work on that.
Is it?
But probably during the week or during the weekend. During the week. Oh, what about? Sorry, let me rephrase that. During work hours or not during work hours?
Work hours.
That's so interesting because not every other, a lot of other WordPress meetups are 6 to 8, it's after hours thing. This is one of the few ones that's during the day, the work hours. It's just funny.
Work hours is easier for me because I'm here in Appleton twice a week for my daughter's birthday.
Okay.
So, and that way I don't have to work around.
Okay. Well, yeah, maybe. Well, I don't know how. Maybe I'll post a meetup, a common code, and would people be okay working at a coffee shop? Or people are willing. No, definitely. Well, I'm fine with it, but we'd have to pick where, Luna and De Pere is really nice because they have a nice bar, so there could be 8 of us in a row going crazy. Or the Creamery, right, in Ledgeview that just opened.
Right.
That has Chris Schmitz, he's come here a few times. He just opened that, so there's outlets everywhere. It's amazing. Or there's something like a docking station, but you can pay for that, I forgot what it is. But that's not a coffee shop, it's a quiet place where it's just co-working.
I just talked about taking the Columbus for,
that would be co-working. The docking station is awesome. If you create an awesome co-working space like that, I would honestly love to work in a co-working space.
Yeah, I wanted to
One day
establish one when I was in Rapids, but I don't know how. I don't know how to create one. And I don't have funding to do it, so I talked to them, and I think they're gonna look into it. I've seen the chamber members who are like,
Go to the docking station's website, Dana. The docking station is always posting stuff about in this city they did this study, and all the people that are co-work here are more productive. So there's lots of good stuff.
space to
Absolutely. Cool. Okay. Is that by 41, right? Where is
The
it?
one in Appleton and the one in Green Bay.
Okay.
So the one in Appleton, kind of just past the mall off the freeway.
Okay.
And then the one in Green Bay is over.
Actually,
Oh, okay.
out there, it's kind of the same.
Yeah.
When you're gone by 4
All
o'clock.
five were
Yeah.
real.
Do it for like 5,000.
Is there a good way of doing that, Jason? You would probably know. Like a good way to ask when everyone's free.
There's nothing, yeah.
Yeah. Is there a good way, so he can say, it'd be really great if, you could say Monday mornings, and you could say Friday, Wednesday evenings or something. Hi there. You are just in time for the end, yes. Well, there's good news. Do you use Twitter at all?
I could.
If you follow a certain Twitter account, I will post all the stuff we just talked about, and then you're good to go.
Good. I just wanted to know too.
Wonderful. Well, there's always that.